What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unplayable. We're back talking about some more Star Wars Unlimited spoilers here with David and Jay, and we're going to hit the ground running. So let's talk about this first one, Tactical Advantage. It is a one-cost green event. I said I wasn't going to read these, and now I'm reading them. The card's called Tactical Advantage. You can see it on the screen.
I'm just saying, sometimes I put
accessibility,
YouTube,
right?
I put YouTube videos and I listen to them in my car. I don't watch them. So
all right, we're now an ADA compliant YouTube channel. So Tactical Advantage, it is a green one-cost event. It has the tactics subtype, if that ever matters. And it says, give a unit +2/+2 for this phase.
Interesting. One cost for 2. I think that's pretty much on par for most things in this game. The +2 health is a little bit weird because it doesn't stick at the end of the round. Yeah, I don't know what I think about it. It's probably kind of trash.
Yeah, I don't think it's great, but it does make me think of the guy who was spoiled right before this. It was our last spoiler on the last video. It was Grand Inquisitor. Like, if you're able to ready a unit and get multiple uses out of something like this, that's okay. The only issue with Grand Inquisitor, it has to be 3 or less power, so the timing of it would be weird.
It would have to be a 1 power dude, right?
Yeah.
And the only other thing I was thinking about is if you somehow have an overwhelming barrage and a tactical advantage, like in this, and it's just more,
you can get 2 additional damage off.
Yeah, more nuking the board, kind of a kind of a lot
of cards to spend.
That seems bad.
It seems bad. This feels probably fine in draft when you're like, I just need to sneak a couple more damage in.
This definitely feels like a draft card. I think maybe the best case scenario for this is you play it on your like Emperor's Royal Guard, and it just has 5, or it has an extra 2 health for your opponent to get through that turn.
Yeah. And they're dealing extra damage to whatever attacks into them. So that's literally the only use case I can see for this.
Yeah. All right. So good on Sentinel, trash on everything else. Next card is IG-88, and it's a leader. So on the leader side, it has an action, exhaust it, attack with a unit. If you control more units than the defending player, the attacker gets +1/+0 for this attack. And it has an epic action. If you control 5 or more resources, deploy this leader. And on the unit side, it is a 5/4. Each other friendly unit gains raid 1.
All right, so coming out at 5 seems good. Like when you're an aggressive deck, right? Popping this guy out on it's not even turn 5. It's turn 4, I guess.
I'm just going to continue to say like on 5, and what I mean internally is like on 5 resources.
Yeah. The 4 health is super low on the unit side. Like, I feel like you can just like, I don't know.
There's
it gets eaten by takedown. Yeah, it gets eaten by open fire.
Yeah, open fire. I think does not specify non-leader, right? So
yeah,
there's a lot that can kill this guy pretty easily. Coming out at 5 is pretty early though, right? So what are the earliest ones that we've seen? It's 4.
Sabine is 4, yeah.
So this is like a pretty early one that's not Sabine.
Is this the earliest besides that? Have we seen any other 5s? Boba's 5.
Yep. Tarkin's 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty sweet. Like if you get him out and you have a bunch of units on board, giving them all +1 seems good.
Yeah, this is like the swarm leader, right? Like if there's like some kind of token deck where like, you're playing Hearthstone Token Druid and you're just like flooding the board with a bunch of stuff, this can help you turn that into a bunch of damage when you flip.
Thematically, what is this for IG-88? Like
droid army?
I actually don't know.
Stuff. I think there was a comic run where he was like commander of the droid army, like where they were.
Maybe if there's more like a droid swarm deck that comes out, he'll be able to be really good in it.
But I see this guy's future as commanding a lot of those one-cost stormtroopers.
A lot of draft decks.
Honestly, yeah, it's a common leader. I think you'll see this a lot in draft because
I think something like this is probably just fine in draft.
Yeah.
In general, like we obviously haven't drafted the game or know the draft rules, but in like a limited format, being able to push a little bit of extra damage is generally good.
And also, like his regular side, his leader side is a free action, so that's pretty significant. I think most leaders that we've seen have costed a resource to use, so it's like this guy's just doing +1 damage basically.
Yeah, every turn if you can keep it up, if you can maintain the condition, that can add up for sure.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of IG-88, like in the lore and like in Star Wars. So I'll definitely be messing around with him. I think he's very squishy for who he is.
Sure. Well, maybe you'll be able to pilot it with Baby Yoda at some point in the future.
That's not the same IG.
I know it's IG-11, whatever, but the joke stands.
Jeez.
All right.
Guy.
Next card, we've got Fallen Lightsaber. Cost 3. It is a red villain card. It's an upgrade attached to a non-vehicle unit. If attached unit is a force unit, it gains on attack, deal 1 damage to each ground unit the defending player controls, and it gives the unit +3/+3.
Yeah, IG-88 could come in swinging with this thing.
True. Now he's an 8/7. That's bigger.
This thing
3
is
cost
awesome.
for 3/3 seems like it's on par. Like most of the time, it's like 1 resource for 1 experience token. So it's like the same, except you also get this possible benefit if you put it on a force unit. But in terms of like we've seen, which we haven't talked about yet, but like losing, if you're able to destroy an upgrade, I'd rather you destroy 1 experience than destroy 1 lightsaber. So this actually could be less valuable than 3 experience tokens from that point of view.
Sure.
So how do you guys view this in light of Vader's lightsaber, which costs 1 less? It only gives you +1 health instead of +3. And then it has the added benefit of when played, if it's Darth Vader, you can deal 4 to a ground unit.
I play both in the Vader deck that I've been playing.
Oh, I'm aware.
If you're playing Vader's Saber is just way better in my opinion.
Vader's Saber is probably better specifically on Vader.
Yeah.
But this is also really good. I think like you can't underestimate the fact that like you actually get to use these stats the turn that they enter play if you put it on a ready character. And I think in general, boosting the health of like your leader, if you're planning on putting this on your leader, is good because then you can get around takedown.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this card is really cool. I like this card a lot.
Yeah, the reason I ask is just I've found myself in a lot of games valuing the health more than the strength.
And the attack. I think it depends on what your deck wants to do, right? Like, I don't know. If I'm playing like, if I'm trying to burn my opponent down as fast as possible, I want Vader's lightsaber, and I don't care that it doesn't get that ability, right? Like, I just want to play a card that costs 2 and then immediately get 3 damage worth of value out of it. But I think this is also really good, right? It only costs 1 more. It gives you 2 more health, and the ability is relevant on every force unit, not just Vader.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we've seen that many more force units, but I mean, it's Star Wars. Like, we're going to.
Yeah, for sure.
Hot take.
Sorry, guys. I'll cool it down.
Okay.
I'll stop living in magical Christmas land. All right. Next card. We've got a legendary unit, Mace Windu.
Wait, Jay, this is your boy. This is your card, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is going to be in every single deck I build, right?
Out of aspect, every deck.
Mace Windu doggy dog.
I love that they called him Party Crasher.
Party Crasher.
Like, because of his infamous line, this party's over.
Are we going to Photoshop? Oh, no, I guess that's Wedding Crasher. I was going to Photoshop Owen Wilson's face on him. Well, all right. He is a red and hero unit. Cost 7, 5 attack, 7 health, and ambush. And when this unit attacks and defeats a unit, ready him.
That's spicy.
Very spicy.
If you give, I mean, he does have 7 health, but he's not coming out till turn 7. 7 resources is a lot.
You know what I think is funny is of all the units we've seen, like Mace Windu can kill a lot of things straight up, but he can't kill Palpatine. He'll get him really close. But he can ambush and attack him, and awesome. It doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah, I actually love that. But Palpatine doesn't kill him either.
Yeah.
So is that some foreshadowing?
Spoilers.
Did Star Wars Unlimited just spoiler that Mace Windu lived?
He just threw him out a window.
You know, Jedi have been known to fall from great distances and still survive. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I like Windu. I haven't been able to get him in a game yet. I've had him in a couple decks, but I haven't been able to hit that 7. I think because a lot of red decks want to go fast, and you know, by the time you're getting to that 7 resources available, things should be close to be finishing out either way.
This will be like a good potential like late game control-y hero red build if that ever exists. Ambush,
of course, red hero will exist.
I mean, coming in and swinging for 5 and then immediately readying as well is, I mean, that's not bad. Like,
yeah,
most
you
most
potentially
units,
take out 2 things with him the turn that you play him, which is really good.
Yeah, so I think he's got value. He's just super expensive for what red hero seems to be right now.
I wonder if there will be like a red control deck that pops up. I'm like imagining building like a Luke deck where you're playing all of the blue sort of like control-y cards. You're playing Restored Arc 170, you're playing Takedown, you're playing, whatever. But then Mace Windu is sort of, one of your finishers because you can make it that long. Or maybe Chewbacca even, I don't know. Something that can survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I when I'm paying this much for a unit, I want it to have immediate impact on the game. That's where sometimes those big green villain stuff, the AT-ATs and the stuff, it's like, oh, if it doesn't immediately impact the game, it's hard to value. But this comes in and this can shift the tide. Like not exactly the same as an overwhelming barrage, but I'm just in my mind, I'm thinking like that's probably the most powerful card we've seen. And this can wipe out a few units all like random, like really suddenly that you weren't expecting. So, yeah.
And he can keep doing it too. So it's like, if your opponent has a bunch of cheap stuff out, you can just machine gun down their units while Mace.
And then still swing
survives.
at the base for, 5.
He's good with Luke too, if you can give him a shield so you can get extra activations out of him.
Yeah, I dig this card. All right, well, we're going to move on to the next card, which is a base. It's a red base. It has 25 health, and it's called Tarkin Town. Epic action, deal 3 damage to a damaged non-leader unit. What do you guys think about this card? Are you putting this in your decks?
It's hard to say. You're losing 5 health. That's 5 points of the win condition to potentially deal 3 damage to not their base. I'm gonna have to play with it a few times to see what I think, honestly.
Yeah, like that's fair take.
Maybe this goes in that Mace Windu deck that you're trying to just like control the board and go late game, and then
but if you want to go late game, is losing 5 health the move? I feel like these 5 less health bases feel like you want to go short game, like you want it to be over quickly.
I think it depends on if you can turn this into more. If this can save you more than 5 damage, then it's worth it, right? Which is possible, because imagine your opponent has something, you have like a sentinel up or something like that, and you can take out their unit so they can't take out their sentinel. That slows them down even more. I think I feel like this is really good, but I think like I am playing this in the Tarkin deck that I have with like all the stormtroopers, and it's pretty good in there. Just extra value, extra damage, like maintain board control is sort of like the number one thing that deck wants to do, and this helps you do that. We don't have any leaders that do this yet, but if they ever, well, actually we do. We have Vader, right? So Vader, if he can ping damage to something, and then you can finish off whatever you ping with his damage. So you're in double red, which is limiting your options there, but I think with stuff like that, generally, I think this is going to be really good.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in a lot of these games, like controlling the board is like the main objective, really. Like you want to stay alive, but you do that through controlling the board.
Right. I'm sort of waiting on like the old Destiny thermal detonator type, where it's like at some point there's something that just does damage to everything, so that stuff like this can proc, and you can get around sentinels and things like that. It works with
Fallen Lightsaber.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. It's a little conditional with the force unit thing, but it definitely could do. Yeah.
Technically it works. All right, let's move on to Millennium Falcon, the 3-cost yellow hero card.
Legendary.
Obviously legendary.
Oh, Mace was a legendary too. I missed that.
Yeah, I said at the beginning. So Millennium Falcon is a 3/4. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you weren't listening. So Millennium Falcon is a 3/4. I'll say it again for David. This unit enters play ready. Crazy. When you ready cards during the regroup phase, either pay 1 resource or return this unit to her owner's hand.
I think it's good.
I think it's real good.
Coming in ready is pretty sweet.
In space too, where units are supposed to be less efficient. I mean, this technically is less efficient, right? Because you have to pay a resource to keep it up every turn. But if you have the resources available,
so that's my question. Really, like, at what point are you like, have you paid too much for this?
I don't know. I mean, it probably doesn't survive forever. If you're dealing, like, if it's lasting that long, it's probably worth it. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm also curious. Like, if you play it and then you also defeat an enemy unit and get it to go back to your hand and heal the damage that's on it, and then play it again, are you getting? Is that good value or no?
I think it's okay value. It's like I imagine that as almost like an open fire, but like it's like deal 3 damage and draw a card, which seems pretty good. I'd probably pay 3 to deal 3 damage and draw a card.
Yeah, it seems interesting. It'll be. I'm curious to see if they have any support cards, like I don't know, a Han Solo leader or something like that.
should we talk about that? Actually, I'm gonna move that next because I think that interaction is really relevant. So yeah, let's talk about Han Solo. So Han Solo is a leader. Obviously, it's a rare leader, and it has an action: exhaust it, put a card from your hand into play as a resource, and ready it. At the start of the next action phase, defeat a resource you control. And on the deploy side, he's a 4/6 with on attack. Put the top card of your deck into play as a resource and ready it. At the start of your next action phase, defeat a resource you control. So before we talk about Han specifically, let's just quickly talk about how he works with Falcon.
Yeah, don't ask me. Ask Mike. When we played a game where every turn I was like, wait, how does the timing? Wait, time out.
So you ready your card. Well, okay. So your turn ends. You played Falcon on your turn. When you ready cards during the regroup phase, you either pay 1 or return it to your hand. But you put a resource from your hand into play with Han. So now you have an extra resource. During the regroup phase, you first draw 2 cards and then you resource and then you ready. And you pay the 1 for Millennium Falcon after you ready your resources because it says when you ready cards, and that means basically after you ready your cards. So you can pay for the Millennium Falcon with the with a resource, and then your action phase starts, and then you can what do they say? You can defeat that resource with Han as the resource that you defeat.
You don't get a choice.
Well, but you can choose that is the one that you defeat.
The one that you
spent to keep Falcon around, basically. Yeah. So you'll still get to start your next turn with already resources.
So he basically lets you play Falcon every turn for free. Almost. At
the cost of a card in your hand.
Yeah. Yep.
But you can play at turn 1, which is crazy. So you can
that's kind of
bring a resource in turn 1, play Falcon, and
swing
then next
at their
turn,
base immediately.
Yeah.
Which happens in the game that Mike and I played. Yeah, you'll see it on. I don't know if it'll be up by this time this goes. I don't, but
hopefully
you'll see it at least.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
4/6 on 6 resources. Lots of health. 4 is not super high, but I mean it's not bad. It's not 3.
Yeah,
I think 4 is a pretty good break point.
Yeah, I feel like you're getting a lot of value out of his on attack. So in theory, the turn that you flip Han, which would be when you're on 5 resources, you can basically play 7 costs or 7 resources worth of stuff because you use his leader ability, bring a resource from your hand, and then flip him, and then attack, and then bring another one from the top of your deck. You have 7 resources total, and you can
that's kind of
play the other Han or something like that.
Or the other Han or the new Mace.
Or
that's
Mace,
another one you can do. Yeah.
So he really doesn't come out on turn 6. He comes out not turn.
On resource 6.
5 resources.
Yeah, he comes out at 5 resources.
Huh.
So
that's cool.
Yeah. Pretty. So I think it's pretty strong.
Yeah. I was trying to mess around with resupply on round 1 too, as another.
Because then you can get him down around early.
So fast. He makes my brain hurt a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I played him and I was like, I need to go back and play this
the sequencing
12 more times so that I can
very
because his ability isn't something you're gonna want to do every turn because you hemorrhage your hand. So that's the thing that I realized wow, I did this too much. I don't have enough cards. I have no way to use the resources that I.
Well, it's super counterintuitive to resource at the end of your turn.
Yeah,
we're used to in most games you resource at the start of the round or start of the turn or whatever. So getting used to, we have to pretty much reprogram our brains not to think that way. And then also this is kind of like the first time we're really seeing the complexity of this game and how the stages and the whatever you call them, the phases matter.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I don't know, in another famous game that David hates because of instant windows and such. But, I mean, this is the same level
than instant windows.
This is the same level of complexity in terms of having to figure out how phases work. And this is set 1.
I do like that the card exists in set 1 because it it serves to teach players how it works. And
absolutely,
it is unintuitive a little bit, but once you wrap your head around it, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I will say it's less to remember than all the different instant windows in terms of like actual things that I have to remember in timing windows. Like the number of objects in my brain that I have to hold there is fewer.
There it is.
Which is good for me because I'm notoriously terrible at that. So, all right. And that is Han Solo. So moving on, we've got, this card is actually spoiled with Millennium Falcon. So we've got a 1-cost upgrade. It's yellow, called Smuggling Compartment. Obviously, you attach it to a vehicle unit. Attached unit gains on attack, ready a resource. And they also get +1/+1.
I think that this card's actually kind of cool because you basically get the resource back that turn that you spent on it. If you put it on a ready vehicle, and you're getting +1/+1, so you basically are getting a free experience, and well, you're spending a card to do so, but you're not spending the resource. That's kind of cool early. I don't know how this interacts with Millennium Falcon to actually be value.
Well, I think because if it's like you're not running with Han, then if you want to run the Falcon without Han.
Well, you're spending the resource, or you're readying the resource before you go to spend it for the Falcon, so it's not actually giving you anything.
So the turn that you play it, you don't really gain that much value out of it, but the next turn, if the Falcon sticks around and this is on it, after you've paid 1 to keep it around, you can attack with Falcon and then ready that resource.
Okay.
That's
interesting. So it'd be the next turn if it doesn't get defeated.
Yeah.
I see how that's supposed to shake out. I think that's kind of trash. I'd rather just play Han.
Yeah. I don't think that this is a card that you're going to see slot into very many decks just because it's not really that high value for the card slot that it takes up. But I don't know. Maybe there's some cool like combo plays that we haven't seen yet that let you just get a bunch of stuff out that you're not supposed to because you have way more resources to use. I don't know. It's also interesting to think about maybe putting this on like Slave 1 because you're already readying resources a bunch with Boba, and I don't know. Yeah, you can ready a bunch of stuff.
Mike, Disney banned that word.
Oh, sorry.
Boba's
Fett's fire spray.
Fett's fire spray, guys.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. All right, next up, we've got Fighters for Freedom. It is a 3-cost ground unit. It is red and hero, music to David's ears, and it is a 3/4 saboteur. So when it attacks, it ignores Sentinel and defeat the defender's shields. And when you play another red card, you may deal 1 damage to a base.
I think this card's kind of sweet. Like, if you can keep this guy out, man, oh man. Every time you play a card, you're dealing damage. It's a lot. Pretty awesome. And it's got Saboteur, so it's swinging straight to base or defending.
And it's a 3-cost 3/4, which is already pretty decent.
Yeah.
I like it.
4 health on a 3-coster always feels good, and then also has these other effects. Like this is gonna, if you can get this behind a Sentinel, something like because it feels like you have to deal with, and if you can't deal with it out of hand. But even if they do deal with it with like a takedown or whatever, I mean, you're spending more resources than I spent to play this. So I really like this card.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
It's kind of a weird comment to make, but I actually really like the art on the card too. It's like, I don't know, it's something you wouldn't necessarily expect. Like it almost doesn't look like a unit, but I kind of like that about it. I don't know. It's cool.
It's also a rebel for
Leia.
Leia. Yeah.
Very nice.
And like stuff like Wing Leader and Dodonna and stuff like that.
All right. Well, speaking of art, we've got Aggression, which is the titular red card, and it is the legendary, of course, double red. It is an event, and you get to choose 2 in any order. Draw a card, defeat up to 2 upgrades, ready a unit with 3 or less power, and or deal 4 damage to a unit.
Seems good.
Seems pretty sweet.
I like it.
It's pretty sweet.
And keep in mind, for those at home, might be new, shields and experience are upgrades. They're not tokens. They're token upgrades, I guess. So that's not nothing, especially when you're trying to, especially in an aggression deck, if you're playing against Luke and he's just spamming shields, like you can definitely do some interesting stuff with this. I like this card a lot.
Also, if a card has experience on it, but it's got more damage on it than it does base health, and you're able to remove experience and like defeat it that way.
Yeah, that's spicy.
I think this card's pretty sweet. I mean, the art is obviously absolute fire, but I think this will slot in nice. What modes are you choosing like 90% of the time?
4 damage to a unit twice.
I think you're almost never choosing draw a card, right? Like you're never choosing draw a card.
I played a game last night where there was nothing. Like defeat up to 2 upgrades or ready unit with 3 less. But I didn't have those options, so it was
just your card.
It was draw a card.
Drawing a card and dealing 4 damage is pretty good for 4. Maybe I guess it's kind of. Like we were talking earlier about whatever card it was that we were talking about. I think it was Falcon. We were talking about Falcon, where it's like kind of deal 3, draw a card if you don't pay to keep it ready. This is deal 4, draw a card for 4, and you have to play it a double red. So I don't know if that's like the most value, but the flexibility is where a card like this is really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, you imagine scenarios where your opponent has like a sentinel and you have a character unit that you've already attacked with or something like that. You deal 4 damage to defeat theirs and then ready yours and then hit their base, do fun stuff like that. So next up, we've got a space unit. It is a red card. It costs 3, called Disabling Fang Fighter. And it's a 3/2. When played, you may defeat an upgrade.
So obviously space units are less efficient than ground units. So the stats for 3 costs are kind of trash, but being able to defeat a Vader's lightsaber or Fallen lightsaber is pretty relevant.
Yeah. It also can defeat Entrenched, which is why this is now my favorite card.
Entrenched, yep. And I mean, if they have a shield or anything, so I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's it. I hadn't thought about Entrenched, but that can be frustrating to deal with. So.
And I don't think there's any other way other than aggression that we just saw a second ago, like of dealing with Entrenched. So I wonder I don't think we know whether or not there's a sideboard in this game, but if there is, I feel like if you're playing a deck that doesn't want to be entrenched, you probably could put this in there so that you can turn it off if you need to, or destroy it if you need to. For
sure.
Also, this is a common and only red. So again, just think about limited formats, draft, whatever.
Yeah, it's gonna be good in that format.
This feels strong.
All right, next we've got Wampa. It is a 4-cost ground unit, red. It's a 4/5 with Overwhelm.
Another great draft unit.
It's a creature.
I think that is good and constructed too, honestly.
Yeah,
it's good stats.
Yeah. What is the real name of this card?
Joe and Daddy.
Exactly.
Yeah, so there's a Hearthstone card in their first set called Joe and Daddy, and it was a 4-cost 4/5, and it was really good for the first like 6 months of the game until they, I don't know, printed more cards or nerfed some other stuff or buffed some other stuff. But this has a little bit of power creep in there because it has Overwhelm.
It's got the Overwhelm.
Yeah,
it'll stay more relevant for longer.
He's entrenched proof. He can't be entrenched.
Oh, well,
I mean, he can
be.
But he breaks through his ice cave, and he says that's fine. Just play any unit.
I guess Wampa also comes in from your sideboard if you're playing against a deck that wants to entrench things. I just think it's funny because like Cho and Yeti basically looks like a Wampa, and it's like the same cost and same stats. So
they actually on SWU they have it wrong right there. It says 4 health.
Yep, that's true. We can let him know.
Put in a ticket. Bug report.
All right. Next up, we've got Homestead Militia. It's a 3-cost ground unit. It's green. And it's a 3/4. While you control 6 or more resources, this unit gains Sentinel.
I mean, the stats for Sentinel are pretty decent. I think he's fine. He's so, as you can tell, I think the generic or like non-villain or hero are going to be probably not as good as the specific ones.
Yeah.
But this one can just slot into either one and probably be just decent for what he is.
For sure. In
my opinion.
Yeah. Obviously, like if you're playing this, you're not really wanting to play him on 3. Like you're probably resourcing him or holding on to him. This guy feels a little bit like it's the end of the game. It's down to the wire. I just need something to stop that last damage. And here's this Homestead Militia, and I still have 6-7 resources to play with. And it's just a problem for your opponent to deal with. So
yeah, I think the problem with this card to me is that when you want it is going to be against an aggressive deck that's going to try to kill you before you have 6 resources. But I could see this being really good in draft because your games are probably going a little bit longer. You're going to hit that condition more often.
For sure.
So
He's fringe, whatever that means.
Yeah, can't wait to see that fringe tribal deck.
Yeah. All right, last card we have for today is a.
That came out today.
It did. Cantina Braggart. Yeah, we're on top of it this time.
It looks like Mike and his wife having an arm wrestling contest.
This is why we can't play competitive games against each other.
Yeah.
Which one am I?
Got him.
All right. 1 cost, red card. It's a ground unit, obviously, and it's a 0/3 with raid 2.
Did you say his name's Dr. Facilier? Is that what you said?
He's not quite the same.
No, he's different. This is probably better.
Probably.
1 cost, but 1 less health versus 2 costs and 1 extra health.
Well, and this is because, again, the win condition in Star Wars Unlimited is damage, not... Yeah, so it's just a little bit... Where it's like Dr. Facilier quest for 1. I'm the one who brought this up to you. You're welcome for that reference.
We understand the difference. We're just bringing it up to tilt you.
Yeah. This dude, I feel like, wants to be hanging out with the Grand Inquisitor for a bit.
Yeah, it was good with Inquisitor. I think if there are more aggressive 1 cost cards, that makes this better. Because I feel like what you really want to do is like play 2 things on the first turn if you're playing this.
I mean, you could give this guy what's that first card we went over? And then play it with Grand Inquisitor. That gives him the +2/+2.
True.
And then Grand Inquisitor can make use out of it.
Yeah, so turn 1.
There you go.
That, right? How much damage are you doing round 1? Like 5?
Well, he comes in exhausted, right? So,
but Grand Inquisitor can ready it the turn that you put it into play.
I know.
Does it cost a resource to do that or no? I don't think it does, right?
You deal damage to it or something.
2 damage.
2 damage.
Yeah. This is definitely a Grand Inquisitor card though.
Yeah.
Just
for sure.
In general. But yeah, I want to see more cheap 1. Like you play this and the 3/1 Stormtrooper on your turn 1, and I don't know, you're threatening 5 damage on turn 2. That seems pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of damage.
Yeah, you're right. Spicy.
But you have to have enough 1 cost cards in the game to make it worth doing that. Because otherwise you're playing this. Well, you probably just resource this and play a 2 cost card instead if you're only playing 1 card on turn 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. And that's it. What do you guys think about those cards in general? Which one was your favorite?
Mace Windu.
Yeah.
Even though he's probably going to be trash, still going. And the artwork on it, it's not great. We didn't even mention the fact that his lightsaber is upside down. But yeah, Mace, for sure. Maybe we'll get a Mace leader one day.
Yeah. I like seeing new leaders, obviously. That like opens up new things. Like I want to build an IG-88 deck. Like that just seems fun.
Mm-hmm.
So probably IG-88 with a close second to aggression. I like those like aspect cards that are like, what are you gonna do? Lots of choices.
For sure.
The Han Falcon combo is cool. I mean, like I want to see that in practice and see what it's like.
I think my pick is probably Han. I think it opens up a lot of possibilities and it makes you think about the game differently because you can play cards different places in the theoretical curve or whatever. So yeah.
Not to mention he looks like an 80s rock star. Mick Jagger.
Yeah, it looks like Mick Jagger, right? Like at first I didn't really like the art on Han that much, but it's kind of
I don't think it's that bad.
The more that I look at it.
I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah. I don't know.
They gave him like obviously exaggerated like cheekbones and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the art style they were going for.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
It doesn't bother me.
It kind of looks like David.
Okay.
You're right. I see the similarity.
I do wear a lot of deep V kind of vibes.
I think this is a sign that you should start.
Okay. I'm just not going to say anything because I'm being a more joyful person these days.
Stop wearing your black t-shirts or you got some Patagonia shirts in there. That's about it. Fishing shirts. Yeah. That's all you got. You don't have a single shirt that has Star Wars on it.
No, I don't.
Are you even a fan?
I wear unplayable shirts. Does that count?
No.
True. You do. Because they were given to you.
I have a Star Wars ugly Christmas sweater. So.
Well, we better see that on at some point.
And someone gave me a triple extra large shirt that says Dadalorian on it instead of Mandalorian. So
I like that.
That's sick. Cool. Well, on that bombshell, thank you everybody for listening, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.